Ooh, it's another hot one out here. Today I got a good pick. People are always like, oh, I don't have the money to build cages. I don't have this. Well, a little work and a little time and a little free goes a long ways. I want you to check this out. This is a rabbit cage that someone attempted to build. It's got really good materials. It's got 2x4s. It's got some chicken wire, which I'm not going to be using the chicken wire. But this is it. It's got 6 footers, everything here. I can take this, take the nails out of it, rip the 2x4s down, and I can build a complete cage, a 6x4 cage out of this. You're probably going, how are you gonna do that? Well, I'm gonna show you. Ooh, sooky now. I'm gonna tell y'all something. Let me show y'all something right here. See all this? That's just off this one side. You see all that? That's like a whole, man, they had to went through a box of 200 staples just on this one side. That's crazy. You're not supposed to use these right here. No, the staples are bad. You got to get the real stuff, okay? Don't use a staple gun. It's just making me cry a little bit, but it's gonna be worth it. Now, let's tear this box down. All right, there's what all of our hard work gets us. You know what, it don't seem like much, but when you're trying to make something out of nothing, this is good materials. That's like 4, 5, 6, that's 6 2x8 studs, and that is more than enough to build a coop. So what we're gonna do is, this right here, I actually need a full length board, and that one's chewed on to straighten up the back of my other coop back here. And we've got 3 6-footers, and we've got 4 2-footers, and we've got 4 16 inches. Now, I'm gonna rip all this right down the middle, all of it right down the middle, and we're gonna double our materials. Yep, you heard it, double it. So we're not just gonna have 3 6-footers, we're gonna have 6. We're not gonna have 4 2-footers, we're gonna have 8. We're not gonna have 4 16 inches, we're gonna have 8 of them again. So we're gonna double our materials by ripping this stuff down. But before that, right here, we've got a little bit of funk on some of these. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna spray these down really good. I'm gonna clean them up. I'm gonna spray them with some apple cider vinegar. That's just from the urine from the rabbit. We're gonna let that soak. Then we're gonna come back and we're gonna rip this stuff down. So we're gonna recycle this rabbit coop. I needed a 2x4 for one of my other pens, so I've got my trusty helper here. She's already starting to paint that up. I needed an additional support in the back of it. What I realized with the roof hinged and just a ripped down 2x4, I should have used a whole 2x4 there, because when you lift the roof and it's hinged, it pushes back on that 1.5. Not enough strength in that to handle that big roof. So when we build this one, I'm gonna have to use a full 2x4 on the back hinge area. Now with that in mind, that's gonna get rid of 2 of these 2x4s. So that's gonna leave me 2 of them I can rip in half, and that is gonna give me my lengths in the front and the length in the bottom. But since I'm using the other one and I wanna make this a little bit deeper coop, I went ahead, got the salvage materials I already have. I've got some great lengths here. So we're gonna use a little bit more. I could have built a smaller run out of this, but I wanna build me a bigger grow out pen, and I need a little bit more materials to do that. And as you can see, it's really humid and hot out here today. Excuse the sweating, but I'm gonna start ripping these 2x4s down. I'm already got an idea. I'm gonna build it the same size as my other one, but we're gonna do a little modification on this other grow out pen that I have. It's great, but let me show you something. This is my run/grow out pen. I've been using this. We're gonna put another just grow out pen over here. Now, as you can see here, you notice how this is pulling back? I've got such a heavy top that it's bowing that backboard. So we're gonna take a 2x4, we're gonna wedge it in there, pull it up level, square this up. Now, feeder. I've got a feeder here. You notice it's pretty tall. So to do that feeder in here, I made a big, just a big roof. I'm not gonna do that on this one. I'm gonna do a feeder board. I'm gonna block it off and I'm gonna box it in on one end. Then I'm gonna put the roof in front of it so I can walk up, open the feeder box, fill up my pipe feeders and be good. So we're gonna do that a little bit different on this build. You know, always evolving, always growing. So let's start ripping those materials down. Oh. All right, so let's go over measurements. I'm cutting 1, 2, 3, 4 boards for the front and back, 68.5 inches. Then I'm gonna cut 4 that are 42 inches long, and that's just gonna do the bottom box. Then the top lid's gonna be a little bit shorter because I'm gonna build a feed box on the end that my pipe feeder can go in, and that's gonna be right at about 5 inches of space it's gonna use. So then I'm gonna need an extra board to go on the inside. I think that's 39 inches. And then for my lid, I've got to shorten the lengths 5 inches. So that should bring it right at about 63. 2 lengths, 63. Then I'll need 2 more depth boards, 42 inches. Now we're gonna double check that. We're gonna frame the bottom out first. We'll get that put together. And before we build the roof portion of it, we'll set everything out and make sure I got the measurements right before we put it together. But I gotta get some more cutting done. I've got these amazing painters. They're over here going at it for me and they're painting while I'm cutting and I'm designing this. Great help. My kids are awesome. I've got one of the neighbor kids. She's kind of like my adopted daughter. She's amazing. All right, so we roughly got everything with the first coat of stain. Right here is gonna be our main box section. Then right here are the risers for the feeder slot we're gonna make. And right here is gonna be our lid section. I do have a plank, which we still need to stain, but roughly we've got everything cut. I do believe I need to cut a couple of more short blocks. But we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna start assembling this. We're gonna get it mainly the framing assembled. Then we're gonna do another coat of stain on everything. What I want to do is I like to glue the ends of everything. Stain it, let everything cure for 24 hours before I ever start applying any type of wire. All right, so what am I going to use? Very simple to get the frame built. I've got me a bit to pre-drill all of my screws. Yes, when your wood, you've ripped it down, you're using like 1.5 inch or 1x1, 1 1/4 strips, whatever you're using, pre-drill it. This goes a long way because it really sucks when you're doing a lot of work, then all of a sudden, bam, you got an end that splits. I don't want that happening. Something else I did when I was cutting everything down, I was looking for knots in the wood. If there's any knots on the end, I will cut those out because it's really hard to get a screw and drill through knots. They will split and come out and mess the board up. Now, then I've got me 3-inch screws. Now these are outdoor decking screws. These are just the simple Phillips head ones. Love them. Got a bunch of those laying around. Got my other drill. Yes, I've got 2 drills, so I can just, you know, go through. I can pre-drill the hole. Then we're gonna get some glue on it. Then measuring tape, just so in case I gotta check a few things. Now, a lot of times I use the clear Gorilla Glue. I've used that on a lot of projects, but you know something? We're still gonna put another coat of stain on this after I get it assembled. So I'm gonna just use their wood glue. You can use any type of wood glue. Elmer's is great. I just happened to get these. They were on sale and I fell in love with their clear glue. That stuff is awesome. It really holds well, but wood glue is wood glue. It's gonna hold up when it sets well. Give it 24 hours and we're great. Now, I only use 1 screw in each section. I'm gonna put a little bit of glue, screw everything together, and it's gonna hold really well. That's how I've built all my other pens. Like you see this run back here, everything I've put together back here has been glued together, is not coming apart. Still gives you some flexibility, but it's just not gonna come free. I mean, if I wanted to, I could go back there and take the screws out of that pen, use them on another project because it's glued together very well. Now, some of the things I'm doing a little bit different on this, and you're gonna see as the build comes along, I'm not making a big slanted roof. You know, you learn, it's a learning process. Right here, I built that really big roof section. It's heavy. This right here, that top is really heavy. Not gonna do that this time. Not gonna do it. I'm gonna do a flat. It's gonna make it much lighter. But what I'm gonna do is when I put my block down for the base and to raise it, because I'm gonna do a couple levels of blocking to do deep litter. And it's also gonna give me a barrier for my birds to hide from predators. So they're gonna be down below the actual coop itself. Now, the second thing that I've learned about this, and again, you'll see as the build comes along, you see my feeder, I love my pipe feeders, love them. I'm actually gonna do a box on the end with a little top on it. I'm gonna put my pipe feeder in it, and it's gonna be fully enclosed. That way I have enough space where I can put a large feeder in it, make a lower run, and save some space, and I'll have easy access to the feeder. I'm gonna put a couple little hinges on it and, you know, make life easier. So tweaking a few things, you know, you kind of learn and develop as you come along, and you have ideas, and I like to implement those. So now we're gonna do some speed up. I'm gonna start getting this framing done. All right, a couple things that I'm doing, I want to show you. That way you don't make any mistakes and try to run screws through each other. As you've seen, I was pre-drilling everything, but I'm always trying to think a step ahead. So let's check this out. All right, I've got these assembled, the ends. But if you look right here, here's my screw. And if you come up, I pre-drilled right close to it, but beside it. I did that all the way around. Now, these are gonna be my links right here. I'm gonna find my dead center, and I'm gonna pre-drill my holes on all 4 widths. That way, when I go to put my little single support boards in there, it's already pre-drilled. I just have to pop them up there, screw them in, glue them, and it's all ready to simply be framed in. Now, we're gonna go back, we're gonna speed things up, and we're about to have a box frame. Come together. Now when I'm doing these, you see me pre-drilling them, but you also see me pre-start the screws on this side. What I'm doing is I'm leaving the screw out maybe about a 3/16 of an eighth of an inch. And what that does, when I'm putting 2 boards together to one piece, if you put the screw out a little bit and it's pre-drilled, it actually helps hold the boards into place. That way they just kind of pop in the hole. It's all holding up there. Then I can screw it together, and it's not going to get the glue everywhere. So take advantage if you're pre-drilling this stuff. But as you can see here, none of this stuff is splitting. None of it is. I mean, it's doing really well. This is already split. That's paint split. But it's holding up really well. And I'm also hiding some of the bad edges. Like this right here, this rough bad spots, I'm putting that on the inside. Or there's bad spots on the bottom. Or like inside's really rough, or the bottom of this is really rough. I mean, the same thing over here. You can see right here, I'm hiding the bad spots. The point of kind of hiding and putting like the bad knots or rough cut stuff somewhere is if you kind of face that stuff down or towards the inside and you leave the nicer wood on the outside, you can take junk and make it look really nice. I mean, even on this right here, I've got a little knot right here, but all this is in pretty good shape. And that's one reason you see me kind of looking over the material and picking and choosing which side I want, where I want it and where I want it to show. I mean, prime example, look at this board right here. This is in really good shape, and it's gonna be on the front. And then the top board I've got, it's in pretty good shape. It's got a rough spot on the inside. Well, if it's on the inside, you're not gonna be able to see it. So if anybody's coming and looking at your stuff, this might be junk, but we can make it look really nice. But I've got to get these top support boards in and continue framing up. As you can see, it's coming along. Slight hiccup, and let me show it to you. Since I ran the 2x4 this way, it's a 1/4 inch taller in here. There's a bigger space. So, yep, I did not take that into account. So this is gonna be too short. I'm gonna have to cut me another stick, and that's okay. You know, this is custom. Just didn't think about that when I was trimming everything out. So we're gonna get that in there. Then what we're gonna do is we're gonna start boxing this side in. Yep, we're gonna make a feeding box area on this side. Yeah, it's gonna take up a little bit more space, but that's okay. But we're gonna start working on that. But we got the table saw, we're gonna cut another board to fit in there. And it is coming along really fast. Still gotta button up a screw right here, that's okay. But this is coming together, very simple to make, very fast to make. I mean, I'm spending more time staining it than ever anything. Project came to a quick halt yesterday. I was framing in this side right here. That's gonna be my feeder side. Now, one of the biggest problems I have with the run that I just did one lid on it. You know, it's got one big heavy door, which is great. But this is gonna be a grow out pen. You know, I am gonna be making a divider for the center. Didn't think about getting that cut down last night. That's okay. You know, gonna get the divider built. But I need to make a spot for a feeder on the opposite side. I need to have 2 feeders, or at least be able to put 2 feeders in it. And then I need 2 lids, not 1. Why? Well, if I separate it out and I've got to go back and start dividing my birds, males, females, and doing the sort, I want to be able to section them off. And then let's say, maybe later, I want to have maybe a couple of breeding sets on each side. You know, I want to be able to use it for multiple purposes if I have to. You know, anything that I design, I'm thinking of what different ways can I use it. But primary use, I made some adjustments last night. I went ahead, split the doors, made 2 doors, got the extra materials cut down I need to put the feeder on, got me some extra 45s. So I've got all that stained, prepped, and ready to be put together. Right now, I've got some 3/16 board, which I'm gonna use to box in the end. That way it keeps my feeder very dry, and it also acts like a barrier for wind on both sides. That is a mistake I've made too on my pens. They like their security. Quail are very finicky, so I want to give them a little bit more security with this pen on both ends. So let's start doing some assembly, and let's get this board out and do some measuring and cutting it down. Check it out, she's coming together. Got my board work and supports put in. Now this is gonna be the front side. And if you look right in here, I'm gonna put a panel right in here, an insert, and I put another support here. The reason why I did that is I didn't want to wire all the way across and have a wood panel right here. It's gonna create a dead spot right in here in space, and the wire will be covering it. And if I didn't put this in, it's gonna be just a debris catch. You know, I really didn't want to do that. I'm gonna run the wire from here all the way to here. Then I've got the same situation right here. I'm gonna put a panel insert there. Then, you know, these right here ran all the way down. So I've got a spot I can run the panel over. Now, because I wanted to put this hard 2x4 support, you know, for the lid or lids, I only did these halfway, which just made sense. That'll work just fine. But I had to add a little corner board in here so I could put that panel on. Then you come around the back. With that corner board here, it made another dead spot for debris to catch the bottom. Let's take a look right here. See, another dead spot. If I ran wire from here over, I'm gonna have this dead corner that's gonna constantly fill up with debris. So, made another little block. We're gonna get that screwed in there. And look, dead spot gone. Now you're gonna have a good clean flush wire. You're not gonna have a bunch of debris building up in there. You're gonna have to be blowing and cleaning it out. So that's ideal. Then, same thing on this side. So, yesterday, went ahead and cut everything down from my dividers for both of my grow out pins. Got my little pieces and blocks and inserts done. Main panels done. Long panels done. And my two little lids. All right, in good old practical junk fashion, we're gonna speed things up real quick. We're gonna knock this project, get it just about assembled. Then we're gonna discuss what we've done. Check it out. Got the boxes. All I got to do is put some hinges on this, hinges on that. Then I've got to get my hinges for my double lid. Now before I do that, I've got to wire this front and I've got to wire the back side. So doing this saved me a lot of money on wire. You know, wiring the whole ends in. Then I'm gonna go get me some board and I'm gonna put a roof on this. I've got some heavy plastic board I think I'm gonna use on this. Still kind of got some debate on which route I want to go, but I'm thinking about it. You know, I still got 24 hours. But this is coming together great. Now you're gonna notice something right here. This has a little lip. Yeah, right at about 1 inch. One reason I did that is so you can grab it and open it. Second reason I did that is when I put a board on it, I'm gonna let it overhang this way just a little bit. Then, that way, the rain, you gotta think about rain hitting and getting in the edges and soaking your deep litter. And that's what I'm thinking about. So I did a little bit of lip there, and on the back, I'm just gonna overhang whatever roof material I decide to go with. That way you open it and everything's running off. But this came together really nice. Had to square things up on these boards. You see me pulling and tugging, but it came together really well. Very happy with it. This right here is pushed in a little bit. I'm gonna have to get something and tack it on the inside to keep these from pushing in. I did notice that. So got to be mindful of that. I'm gonna have to put a little support in behind that, a little blocking. That way nothing can push into this and get into it. Because you always got to think about predator proofing. Bottom one's good. There's just a little bit more play in this board. So we're gonna fix that. But yeah, coming along really well. Like right here, it's actually lipped under this board a little bit, so nothing can get in that one. Same thing over here. This board's under it, so ooh yeah, I'm gonna have to put a support there. I'm gonna do it all the way around. I'm gonna get some strips and put some blocking to hold that on the inside here. That's why I look over everything. Like I'm looking over this in real time. You know, you've got to think about little silly stuff like that, especially predator proofing. I mean, like that side's pretty good. I'm probably still going to block that a little bit. But yeah, see, it's the little details, little bitty ones that go a long ways when you're building something and paying attention to how you're building one. That way you can keep other critters away from your critters, or your critters, maybe some critters' dinner. But guys, it's coming along great. I'm gonna button up them insides and get that secured. And man, I gotta start stretching some wire on it. All right, so it is time to put some wire on this. Now the beautiful thing about this, since I boxed the ends in, man, it saves me cost on wire. But what's great is I went to go get my wire and I had completely forgot. When I did my run build, I still had strips of wire from the edges that are perfect for this. Check it out. Here's one run. Here's the other piece. I got to do a little trimming. There is going to be a little bit of waste, but you know what? That's why I don't throw stuff away. You know, if you've got a strip of wire, you might need it in the future, because tell you what, that hardware cloth, it is expensive. Now, I mean, I got mine on sale. You know, matter of fact, sale season's coming up in fall, so keep your eye out for wire. But check it out. We're gonna get these wired. But when I did my run, I put the wire on the outside. I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't like that very much. So on the face of this, I'm gonna take the time and I'm gonna put the wire on the inside. It just looks better to me. You know, it shows the wood. I've done put all the hard work in the staining and building this nice. So I'm gonna put the front section, I'm gonna put it on the front, like on the inside. Now on the back, I'm not gonna worry about it as much. I'm just gonna go ahead and tack it to the outside and be done with it. But man, I'm excited. Let's get some wire on this. So what am I gonna be using to do my wire with? I've got two different style snips. These are to cut it when it's not on the pin, and these are to nip off any sharp edges. They work great. They're old, but man, they get the job done. Then, if y'all see me take that rabbit pin apart, they stapled that thing to death with a staple gun. I'm not gonna be doing that. I'm gonna be putting this together properly. See these? Yeah, these are staples for hardware cloth. Pick those up in nail and screw section. Yes, they have staples over there. These are good staples. You're gonna hand nail these jokers in. But I got me a hammer, and I've got my little helper, Miss Valerie, over here. She's been hanging out helping me. I say, hi, Valerie. Like, she's being shy. That's all right, though. Then I've got my cheating tool. The cheating tool is my grinder. Now, I've got a cutting wheel on this. This stuff right here, this just, man, it saves the day. Because I can cut the wire nice and smooth. And if you've got a steady hand, you don't have to do any trimming, and it gets rid of the sharp edges from using cutters. But as Valerie and me, we're gonna start stretching this hardware cloth out and getting it put on. You got the strand of wire on the top, then the strand you're cutting underneath. That way when you're using that cutting wheel, you can cut it at just a slight angle. It'll smooth right past the wire and cut this nice and smooth. But let's get this one cut and we'll see the results. Matter of fact, want to see the results? Huh, that's easy. Right here, I just cut this side. Nope, that's not the side I cut. Yeah, it is. Right here, that's, man, virtually smooth with that. There's no really sharp edges, and if there were, I could just take that grinder and just barely touch it and just knock those edges off. So I love that piece of equipment. Makes cutting wire so much easier. Now you do have to kind of flatten the wire out. You'll see me kind of bending it. That way it takes some of the bow out of it where it was wrapped up. And when we get done cutting this, I'm gonna flatten this out a little bit to make it easier to attach to the pin. All right, so we just about got the wire on there, and I want to show you the most important tool that I'm making. A block of wood with a couple of screws drilled in it, so you can set it in here and pull the wire. Now you don't want to yank it. Man, this allows you to get this wire really taut. Look, hardly any play in it. I mean, it is really tight. I should have started doing that a long time ago. All right, we got our base set up, which resulted in a lot of clearing on my part and burning and chopping wood. And yeah, I know her. She just hangs around here sometimes. But yeah, that was a little bit of work. I've been meaning to clear this area off, but you know, brick, all this block we picked up for free. Had to do a little cleaning, chip some concrete off of it, but we got our base built for our grow out pen. Now, I've got to get some lids put on this and get a roof put on it. All right, so I had some hardware laying around. This I'm gonna use for the hinge tops for where my feeders are gonna go. And right here is some hardware that came off a door. These came off a couch. Yes, a couch with all the little foldable arms. So what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna take these hinges, I'm gonna save those. I'm gonna take these two and I'm gonna cut them right down the middle. Yep, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna cut this right here, right down the middle. And I'm gonna take two hinges and we're gonna turn it into 4 hinges for my lid. At least that's what I'm gonna try to do. First, I'm gonna go get these installed and get my 2 little feeder hinges done. Then we're gonna start messing with the other ones. All right, easiest way to attach some hinge doors. First, on a small door, I marked it right here. I found my mark. Attached the hinge to the actual door itself. If you do that, it'll make life a lot easier. Attach both the hinges, then you can hold them up here at an angle. You can set that side over onto the lid, screw this side in, then put the other side in. Now, I had to do a little modification on this. I had to add a screw hole because as you can see, the hinge, yeah, there's not a lot of support area there, so I had to, you know, make it work. But, hey, it's a hinge door. This is why I keep calling these my feeder boxes. You're like, what? Yeah, it's so big, why? Well, I want to keep these dry. Since I did such a low box, I wanted to do something different so I could come over, access my feeder, fill them up, lock the door back down. Yeah, that's simple. Now I'm gonna find me a water I can put in there. I just found like a fridge style jug waterer thingamabobber. Yeah, that's what we'll call it. That I do believe is gonna fit right there. So we're gonna go pick that up, and yeah, this is my feeding boxes. And you're probably like, why is there 2? As we talked about it before, this is gonna be a grow out pen. I have a divider I can put in here that I'm still gonna finish making. Males, females. That way I could have a feeder on both sides, waterers on both sides, and I can just literally sort my birds right here in this pen when it comes time to. Make my life so much easier. But now we gotta get a roof on this thing. Took my grinder and just nicked the sharp edges off this. When you're cutting through it, it kind of rounds it over and it kind of pulls it over and creates a lip on one side, depending on which side you're cutting through. So I had to kind of smooth that down, took the little sharp edges off, and guess what? I'm not good. Now I've got 4 hinges. This is awesome. All right, let's take some more junk and get this done. You know, I was about to put my doors on. I'm like, man, I should probably build my divider and get it tested out before I put 2 big old doors in my way. So I've already got my wood cut down for that. That chicken wire we took off that rabbit coop, we're gonna recycle that and we're gonna use it for our divider. All right, I threw my little dividers together. I've got 2 of them, one for the run behind me and then one for the new pen that we're building. Now, I've got that chicken wire. I think it's just tall enough to where I'll be able to stretch it and cover both sides and save some cost on the wire. And this isn't a permanent thing. This is mainly gonna be used during sorting, or if I've got an aggressive bird, I could separate them out easily and kind of put them in timeout. All right, I was able to take that one length and stretch it to cover both these pieces, and it turned out pretty good. I mean, it's good and taut, covers edges good, and this is just gonna, again, these are dividers, but still, I made sure to space and stretch the wire good. I don't want anybody getting injured. But yeah, dividers are ready for future use. Hey, I've been trying to think of a very cheap, free way to put a roof on this. I've got this wire on the top and I've got this plastic over it. I thought about taking that off and putting it on here, but then that's gonna be sitting wide open. So then I had an idea. What better than a truck bed liner could be used for than a roof? And I know where to go get some from. I'm down here at the truck place, and they have these free bed liners which they are junking from where they're doing Line-X. Check this out. Bam, great roof material, and it's like perfect size. Then, you know me, I just happen to peek in the dumpster and I find a bed cover, which is like a heavy tarp material, which I can use as well, all rolled up. So we're gonna snag this up, we're gonna get that bed, and we're gonna go put a roof up on our coop. All right, so what I've done is I've flipped the doors around. This is gonna be my downside for the hinge that's gonna go over there. Now I measured in about 4 inches here, and that's gonna roughly get me where I need to be. Doesn't have to be exact, close enough. Now I'm gonna push in on the hinge and I'm gonna press the actual hinge part against the wood, and that's pretty much gonna get that centered. Now I've got some really, really large screws, so I'm gonna have to pre-drill these. So I'm gonna hold the hinge, get this one good and centered. All right, got that one started. Got that one started. This makes it a lot easier. You gotta have a steady hand and try to get these holes as close as you can to the center. If you don't have a steady hand, get a nail, tap it, find your dead center, and then start your drill. Now, I'll find my hardware. We'll get these started real quick. Yeah, that one's set right on the money. We'll get this other one in here. I'm gonna go ahead and get my hardware set in for the top hinge pretty good. That is pretty, that's right on the money. This is about the easiest way I know how to start these. Bam. There we go. All right, now let's go over here. I'm gonna get this side done right here. Then we're gonna flip them over. I'm not gonna fully mount them to it yet. I'm just gonna get one screw started here and one screw started on the other side. Then we're gonna go get the roof. And what that's gonna do is when I do a partial mount, it's gonna allow me to check the doors, make sure they're set right. All right, it's bed liner time. I'm gonna cut this out into 28.5 by 40-inch long pieces or 48-inch long pieces. I'm a little bummed though, because I'm gonna have to go get another one. Yeah, I want the drainage this way. For me to get 2 pieces out of it, I would have to turn it sideways, and I don't want to do that. So I'm gonna go ahead and rip down a piece. I'm gonna make the other piece work, but I will eventually try to pick up another one of these. That way I have my drainage running to the back of the pen. But it's all good, it's free. We're gonna make it work, and we'll have extra pieces for other projects. All right, another practical junk win right here. Truck bed liner turned into roof material. Check this out. I left just a little bit of this lip here, and if you notice, it's grooved beautifully to control the rain flow. Then right here, I cut it just so you still have a lip here. That way, when I get another piece on this side, I'm gonna do the same thing, and I'm gonna basically make these 2 pieces touch. Then I did an overhang here on the front, and since I already had the door overhanging, I'm only going to do about 1.5 inches on the front, and then on the back I did about a 2.5-inch overhang. That's going to give you more coverage and keep the rain off your birds. That's the idea of doing that. A little bit more coverage goes a long ways. But I tell you what, truck bed liner to roof, man, that's a practical junk win right there. This is going to work great. It's free. Took me a little time to get things squared up. I'm gonna go cut the other piece. Unfortunately, the other piece is gonna be temporary. I can get another one of these for free. And I wanna get a piece where the lines are running backwards to control the rain flow. Well, unfortunately, what I have left, the lines are gonna be running crossways right here. So it's really not gonna direct the rainwater away from your, get it off your coop. Man, I love these. These work great. You get these for like your truck bed boxes. I salvaged these off of some windows. All right, I got this set up, and if you notice, this is sitting basically straight up and down. I don't want it straight up and down. I want it at a slight angle, okay? Why do I want it at a slight angle? Well, in case any birds pop up. Yeah, and I could still get in here and work on anything. So what I figure is that I need to move that hinge set 3 inches forward. Sometimes it takes a little bit of figuring, and I didn't keep that in mind. I basically set it up here to go to, straight up and down. Yeah, I want it just slightly angled forward a little bit. So we're gonna get that adjusted real quick. I'm not gonna lie. I'm just gonna say this. It took me a few tries to get these lined up to where they would do this. Now those are pretty strong, and what I've done is, you can look right here, I didn't want them straight up, but I wanted a slight angle on them, but I didn't want them so angled forward I can barely get in them. So right there is about a happy medium for me. So very happy with the results of this. And again, it took me a couple of tries to figure the math out on how to get those in there, so we're not going to discuss that. Have fun doing it if you decide to go this route. No, it's not that bad. It took me about 3 tries. Just had to do some measuring, compress them in, release them all the way out, and then just got to play with it a couple of times, figure out exactly how to line these up. I honestly just kind of got lucky. Part of using junk sometimes, but I'm gonna get a roof on here, and then we got to start putting an electric fence on. Oh yeah. All right, so just put down the roof. Does it open still? I ain't gonna lie, I got a little nervous. I thought it was gonna be a fail and I was gonna have to edit this video out. Man, they're pretty good. I mean, those are perfect. Got them both on here, check it out. This is gonna be the keeper. This is what I had to use because I've got to get some birds out here. This, I really like this. Got a little squeak to it, but that's cool. What I noticed was this side, because the length, the way it's cut, yeah, that's a lot more noisy. Obviously, we don't want this to stay on here. We're gonna go get another bed liner, but we want the rain going back off this, just like this one over here. But right now, it's gonna get the job done. Until we can find another bed liner, which, man, I see them over there for free all the time. Never thought about using them, but man, this is going to go on to my must-have list. Bed liner's got a lot of use. This stuff is sturdy material. Don't really like cutting the plastic, but I mean, for what it is, it's going to get the job done for a long time. And it's not really heavy either. Surprisingly, it's not heavy. I mean, one of those little actuators is lifting this door up. It didn't add a lot of weight to it. Very surprised. One thing I am gonna do though, is where I was cutting it, I've got all this little flaky stuff. It's just part of cutting plastic. I'm gonna take that, I've got a heat gun, I'm gonna come out here and I'm gonna heat that. It'll melt it down and make a nice smooth edge. But guess what? I've got to get an electric fence ran on this now. So I better kick the tires and light some fires again. Everything has come together really, really well. My ladies, I got a little water in here right now. I only need one because I've only got a breeding set in here. Doing really, really well. I got my electric fence set up on it, which all this is a cap. I put a screw in it, attached it to the coop, drilled a hole through the pipe, got it extended out as far away as I wanted it. And then when I came over here, I did got some elbows and I ran it out this way. That way we pull it out and I didn't have to do like two pieces. And this will actually bend up and down. So if I don't want to get electrocuted, I can just push it down and I'm away. And right here's my divider, which goes in the center of the pen. But I kind of like this because it keeps a little bit darker for the grow outs and the meat birds. And it really is working out really well and it's staying pretty dry. But this is the end result. All I had to do was, as far as my electric fence too, is I just pretty much put a jumper wire, put this right here, keep it off the ground, and I ran it back over this way. I have added a light in here, put a light back here. It's a floodlight, it's an outdoor light. I ran it back here to give them a little light through this winter. But, and this little setup, it's worked pretty good. And you got easy access to the hinge doors. You can reach in there and grab the water. Does get a lot of debris in here, but it is keeping my feeder dry. You know, it's not getting wet in here. Nope, I can see the kids have been spilling food, but that's all right. Well, that pipe's feeding. But yeah, this is the end result to my grow out pen. All right, guys, I hope you guys love the build that I just did. It's unique. It is kind of custom for my setup. You don't have to do something this complicated. You can build just a basic box and hinged roof, make it a little bit taller. But this is a creative way to take junk and make something nice out of it. I might have 15 bucks in this build. I don't even think I have that much in it, to be quite honest with you. Almost 100% of it was salvaged or scrap materials. Okay, maybe 95% of it. All right. But, hey,
like, subscribe, check out some other videos. I just want to inspire people to take a little bit of nothing and turn it into something amazing.